Mark Ogden's joining me. So, we are talking Manchester, specifically Man United, because, Augie, I feel like United and probably United fans woke up this morning with a massive weight and a very expensive weight off their shoulders with the announcement that Alexis Sanchez is officially an Inter Milan player and he will continue his footballing career there. So, what does this mean for United and how big of a weight is this off their shoulders?
Well, financially, it's a huge weight. I mean, depending who you believe, his wages range from a basic £300,000 a week up to £500,000 if you trigger all the bonuses. I don't think he earned many bonuses. He scored 5 goals in 45 games. So I think the bonus scheme was kind of not really harmed too much. But look, Sanchez for me is a kind of a sign of what United used to do when they used to, throw money at big name signings because they were big name signings. And then they've realised that there's not a lot of value there. But Sanchez, at the time, Man City wanted him and he looked like a player that everybody wanted, but he's been an absolute disaster. He's probably one of the worst signings in Man United history. He's been that bad, but the alarm bells were already there before he signed. His last 6 to 12 months at Arsenal, he seemed to have checked out at the time. I don't think he's been able to get that back. But he should have been much better than he is. He has been an absolute disaster.
Disaster indeed, but the thing is that he probably is not the first that we have seen in recent times of United throwing money at what, big name players and bringing them in and just expecting that they will hit the ground running. You have Sanchez, you talk about Di María, we know how that went south. Falcao, that you even reminded me of off camera, I almost forgot that won't even happen because that's how big of a disaster or a flop it was as well. Why do you think United were unable to get the best out of these players that were really the talk of the town in their time?
Bastian Schweinsteiger is another one. These big name players that came in with a huge reputation and a huge pay packet, and they didn't perform. Now each had different circumstances. I think United bought at the wrong end. Falcao was unfortunate. He'd come back from an injury and he wasn't fully recovered. He never looked fit when he was at United in that season under Louis van Gaal. Di María clearly didn't want to be there. Just from day one, he just looked like he didn't want to be there. Schweinsteiger, well past his best. They shouldn't have signed him, but they were persuaded by Van Gaal. And Sanchez, you can argue that it was done for the wrong reasons. Jose Mourinho wasn't exactly pushing for the signing, but United did it because they wanted to make a statement, and the statement they have to make is by signing young players that become great players. And, they did it in the past with Cristiano Ronaldo. They've got this ability now. They missed out on Erling Haaland, but at least they're going the right path now by looking at younger players that can give them some long-term value. And I think if and when they sign Jadon Sancho, that would be going back to the old way that United used to do things with under Ferguson, with Ronaldo, with these players that could become long-term stars, not the players that are basically there for one last pay packet.
And then just in the thoughts of that, also, I'm sure people would be tempted to throw in the name of Zlatan Ibrahimovic. I thought he had a good time at Manchester United. Some people would argue that he probably should have continued at Man United. And we can argue as well, because, he's one of my faves that, of course he's going to hit the ground running. He's superhuman. He's not regular human. But what should United have done there? Would they might regret that they didn't hang on to him just that much longer?
Yeah, I think United had a bit of a problem with Zlatan because they'd signed Lukaku to phase out Ibrahimovic because Ibrahimovic was mid-30s at the time. I think United felt that they couldn't get any more out of Zlatan. Then he had that really bad injury, that kept him out for 6 months. He probably came back too soon. When he came back, he didn't look like he'd ever recapture his best form. But they let him go to LA Galaxy, where he did really well, and he's now gone back to Europe with AC Milan. He's been sensational again. So I just think that United could really have persevered with Zlatan a little bit longer, give him time to recover his full fitness, because apart from the fact he scored a lot of goals, he was an absolutely brilliant character around the dressing room. He was fantastic for the young players. And when he left, United found there was a vacuum there, that this great personality had gone, and it was like almost like an internal battle for the leadership of the dressing room, and it fractured. And then Sanchez came along, and it all fell apart. Even then, Zlatan did as much off the pitch as he did on the pitch for Man United. He was a real kind of unifying force, and I think United let him go too soon. You can understand why, because he was injured and he didn't like he was going to get it back. But a bit of patience and perseverance with Zlatan, and for me, he could still be there now, scoring goals and being a fantastic role model for people like Mason Greenwood, Marcus Rashford, Jadon Sancho when he arrives. But time moves on, and I'm sure Zlatan will find another club and score more goals and be playing till he's well into his 40s.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube, and for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app, and for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.